Sorry, I
Okay.
forgot to hit recording,
Ah,
but we're going. We're still live, so it's still
okay.
live. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway,
Wow.
so that place though, this is where you can hear your higher self who doesn't want you to talk through the ego and talk about finding your joy. Anytime you're considering bad self-talk or you're considering getting worried about something or anxious about something, if you can drift into the void in the center of your head, that room in the center of the head where it's quiet, you will find your truth instead of the ego lies. Mm.
And the calmness, the peace,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. And you can't be worried about 10,000 different things when you're in there.
You can't. And what I explain to people is if they're not living in the moment, in the now, if they're in the front of the head, they're going to either be jumping into the fear pool of the future or they're going to be stuck in the fear pool of the past. And I tell people, you've got to imagine that those are, or the fear pool of the ego. And you need to imagine you're standing on a ledge and you're looking into a mucky pool of ego water. And you could jump in that sludge, but I wouldn't like it. So talk yourself off the ledge. Yeah, I say that all the time. Talk yourself off the ledge.
Yeah.
And once you do, and you get into that place and center, you're going to find a truth.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, here you were talking about fear. Okay, there's another ally, or not ally, another thing that takes you out of being present.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anxiety running around the world these days in all sorts of different arenas. So let's talk about what fear does to your body.
Mm. Well, fear
Mm.
is what catapults you into the front of the head, which starts that cycle of really poor chemicals. But it's also going to upset your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So, your heart rate, your blood pressure, your breathing, and your sympathetic nervous system is when it's how you respond to life. When life shows up hard, you're going to cave or you're going to be angry or some reaction is going to happen
Mhm.
because the fear has put you into a poor place within those two systems. There's something that's really important for people to understand, which is that the opposite of fear, right, is love,
Mm.
right? And so anytime we're in fear, we are only thinking with our ego brain. We're not thinking with our higher self. We're not thinking from a place of love. Fear is the only thing that comes from, not the only, but it's the main thing that comes from the ego.
Yes.
Okay. And what I explain to people is that when you are in fear, every time you fear anything in your life, it's like taking your power and putting it on a silver platter and saying, here you go. You get to have all my power because you had the power to take my joy and my peace and my happiness and everything that is great. You
Mhm.
had the power to upset me. Here you go. Here's my power. That's what
So
fear does.
true.
Mhm.
And people hand their power over to fear every day.
Yes. So I had quite an experience with this. This was about 3 years ago. I went through a year where I had three experiences, and they were 6 months and 6 months apart. So the first experience, I was traveling from California across country, and I was roofied in Flagstaff, Arizona. And in that experience, I got away because my guides had yelled at me and they said, go, go now, go now. And this man is following me to my car. And I shoved him out of my car and I got on the road. And no sooner did I get on the road and I saw four roads. And I quickly pulled over and had about 4 hours where I could not bring myself. As a matter of fact, I couldn't figure out how to use a phone to get help. I had no idea how to do that. I walked around to the front of my car and instantly fell. So my legs were sticking out, my head was underneath, and I was there for about 2 hours.
Oh
No
my
one ever
God.
found me. It was horrible. Finally got to a hospital and they helped me out and they said you were roofied. So 6 months later, I was in a foreign country and I was sexually assaulted by a holistic doctor on the table, thinking I was getting some healing.
Oh my God.
And yep, it was myofascial release and cupping. So of course there were no clothes on. So it was very easy for him to harm.
Mm.
6 months later, I'm in another foreign country and I am beat up at a Mayan cave in the middle of nowhere. The man is tromping on my head with his foot, and I am left in a swimsuit in the middle of nowhere. And it was horrifying. But I'll tell you what, those three experiences were so critical for me.
In
They
what way?
They were beautiful because even though I knew I had to deal with the trauma and they were traumatizing, and I went through trauma release through each one of them, and I sat down and I asked, why? What is going on? And they said, what did you learn? And I went, oh my God. And I realized this was 2 weeks after I was beat up at the Mayan caves. And there's a video of me on YouTube talking about this after the 2 weeks. And I was like this. I now realize no matter what you do to me, whether you make me vulnerable, whether you physically harm me, sexually harm me, you can dismember my whole body. First of all, you can't kill my soul. But number two, here's what you can't do to me in this life. You do not have the power to take my innocence, my playfulness, my joy, my peace, my free spiritedness. Nobody holds that power. I do. And it created an inner strength that I have never, ever felt before. And so for me, I move into gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that opportunity. You couldn't harm me, right?
Wow.
And the other thing is we all have the power to heal from trauma. It's just that not everybody understands how. When we've got trauma inside of our body, it can steal and rob our joy easily. It can keep us in the head where we just get depressed and anxious and fearful. And healing that is really, really critical. So when that's a whole other story, but I
Yes.
definitely encourage you to do a lot of inner work. And that's what I do in my sessions, is help people to move in and find their power and find their joy. Yeah.
Yes, you do. So what does a session look like with you, Kelly? What if somebody were to call you? How can you help them?
So we get on the phone. Usually it's just phone, and I work with everyone all over the world, whether it's from Egypt to, I just had one in Serbia, India, Ireland, I had last week, and, all over the world. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter as long as you can speak English. So we get on the phone and I just open up and start listening to my guides. When they speak, their words to me, their voice is like it's molecular for me. So I start to understand them, and I can understand what's happening within them. I can look in the body medically. I might be able to, I can feel what they feel emotionally. I can see what chakras are out of alignment. And then I start listening to their guides. And all we do is we just start a conversation. And that conversation, eventually, what will happen is, so they talk about their life, and all of a sudden the guides are giving them direction and giving them guidance and talking about what they need and talking them how to heal. And sometimes those who are deceased come in, I never know. And sometimes, we do meditation. Sometimes I teach. It's so unique for each person because we're all, vastly, vastly different. So when people show up for a session, what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't know. But it's always amazing.
It is always amazing. I know we never know where we're going to go when we have a session. I've had many, many sessions with you, and all sorts of fun things show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I just adore your abilities, and your guides are just so clear, and I just love how you are instantly there.
Thank
So
you. Yeah, I've
it's
been listening to them since I was about 6. Well, I had my first out of body experience at 6. And then I started speaking to my guides knowingly at about 8. And then I started seeing premonitions and visions by 19. So I've been doing this, at age 54, you've been doing it a long time. So we've got a really good communication style.
so do you get words, messages, pictures? How does it work?
Yes.
Yes,
All of it.
all of the above.
On my TikTok channel, I actually put a lot about this, and I actually put in about the 8 different types of clairvoyance that there are, and so people usually have a different combination of the different types of clairvoyance. I have 7 of them very strong. One of them psychometry, not so much. Being able to get things with touch, I'm terrible.
Mhm.
But everything else I'm really, really heightened at. And what happens is that when you learn to quiet your mind, that center of your head has a pineal gland. And that pineal gland in there is actually, it has photoreceptors, just like your eyeball does. And when you are in that part of your actual physical third eye and you're in quietness, those photoreceptors can pick up photons of information that might come from source, information that might come from another person. And time and space do not matter. So you end up picking up information from it just depends on how well you're able to listen. And it will always come in a combination. A lot of people, the mistake they make is they get into their head and they focus and they want to hear something. Well, if you're focusing, you can't hear. So it's kind of like doing yoga when you're looking at a drishti and you dim your gaze, you with the focal
Mm.
point in the distance. So you dim your gaze and let go of expectation. Then you can bring in information through the pineal. And what happens is it's more of a feeling, okay, or a gut knowing. Those 2 pieces together, and then you might see visions, like I'll see the words or I'll see pictures and I'll feel and then I'll know what the words mean,
Mhm.
or I'll know what they're trying to say. So it's more of a knowing. And
Okay.
there are a couple times I have physically heard, like when I broke my vertebrae, I heard, "Don't go, you're going to be hurt," and it was right there. It was right next to me, and I did. I broke my vertebrae that night. Yeah.
You've had as many injuries and traumas over the years as I have.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
mean,
think I tell people all the time, we're going to either manifest what is going on in our life mentally, emotionally, or physically. I'm a physical manifester, as are you.
yes, I
Not that
am.
we don't have the others, but those are our main ways in which our body talks.
Yes, and hopefully, no more injuries at this point.
Yeah, yeah, I would like that too. Let's make a pact.
Okay, we're done. We're done getting injured.
So, can I bring up, since this is an amazing class about keeping your joy, can I talk about manifesting and what that actually means?
Absolutely.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh, because
please.
we can manifest our joy like nobody's business, and people don't realize how powerful we are. Do we have time?
Oh, absolutely. We have plenty
Okay.
of time.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about this first from a quantum physics standpoint because this is amazing. So, there's an experiment that has been done that's called the double slit experiment. And it's where scientists took a board, right? And they put 2 slits in it, okay? And then they
Uh-huh.
had a board in the back and they shone a light through the 2 slits. And of course, what they get on the backboard is this beautiful fractal of light. They call it a wave pattern of light, right? And they
Okay.
said, well, now we know because we are physical beings. It's kind of funny to think that, but the scientists said we are physical beings, we're mass. So we're going to take electrons, which are in the atom, which is mass, and we're going to shoot it through. And because it's mass, we're not going to get a wave pattern like light because we're not light beings. Of course not. No, it's going to show up with only 2 slits. And they're like, that's it because it's matter. And I'm okay. So they started shooting electrons through, and of course they got 2 slits. And it was like, wow, see, our conclusion was right. And they left the machine going. And they came back, and there were there were electrons all over the backboard, but not just all over the board. It was on the sides of the board and it was on the back of the board.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's called quantum tunneling. So what happened is that they're like, what happened here? Did somebody come in and mess with this? All right, we're putting up a camera and let's go in the other room and we're going to watch. So they did the experiment again and they're watching. And it came up with 2 slits. No matter how long they watched it, it came up with 2 slits. They're like, what's going on here? And they're like, okay, start this over again. We're going to put up a camera. And this time we're going to not record. Nobody watch, but nobody tell the electrons. Nobody tell. Okay, so there they go. The electrons are not being observed and they're scattering all over the board. And there's the little parts on the side and on the back. And when you think about, well, here's the conclusion. Electrons will actually, or atoms, electrons are in the atoms, atoms will actually behave according to the person observing them. And if your belief is that they will create 2 slits, then that's what's going to happen. But if your mind is open and you allow, instead of getting into the chatterbox that gets you miserable, where you can't manifest happiness and joy and all this great stuff, when you get into realizing that, oh my God, you know what? I want to manifest that electron that's over on the side. I don't want a regular pattern. I'm not doing that. You guys can jump in that little box. I'm not going there. I want to be the one on the side or the back. I'm going to manifest like nobody's business. And when you do that, you're like, I can manifest pretty much anything I want. And my saying is this: I don't believe in miracles. I expect them, and I always get them. Talk about bringing some joy.
Well, I'm, as you know, an amazing manifester as well.
Yes, incredible. You are definitely the one on the side or the back. You are not in 2 slits by anybody's business.
Nope. Nope. Yeah. I mean, just 2 days ago, we were looking, Dave and I were pricing motorhomes to go on a trip in July, just a little road trip. And the prices were insane to rent them. So it's like, okay, well, let's just put it out there that one of our friends is going to want to come stay here at the Pleasure Palace for 2 or 3 weeks in exchange for their motorhome. 2 days later, that's it. There it is.
And you could play with this with such ridiculousness. Like when I went to Belize, I was like, I landed on the island and I was like, I stayed at a yoga retreat for a month and I was like, I think I need to stay. But I don't want to pay big rent and I don't want a security deposit and I don't want to lease and I want to be on the ocean. Yeah, that's what I'm manifesting. It's almost ludicrous. So the next day, I did some yoga sutras after yoga, and I met this wonderful couple. And we've been talking about me. And about a day later, they came back and they said, "We love you. We have an apartment underneath our house. It's right on the ocean. It's a 2-bedroom. It's wonderful. We'd love to have you come and stay." And I'm like, "Oh my God, well, what do you want for rent?" And they're like, "No, just do some sessions with us here and there."
There you go. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Yeah. Yeah. So again, kind of circling back around to that whole joy piece. Be a good manifester. Expect randomness. Don't have these beliefs about, I can't find a place in Ojai because there's nothing. I can't afford this because I don't have enough money. Well, manifest more. And it may seem flippant and irresponsible, but I'm the most practical person you can find. It's just science.
It is. It is actually. And it's amazing when you get it figured out.
Yes.
It's everyone can do it.
Yes.
Right. And so manifest the magic that you want to create in your life.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Follow the joy. Follow the joy. Yeah.
Just bring it all in.
Yeah. Take your power back from fear.
Mhm.
Open up your head, let your wisdom speak. And that brings in those three treasures of wisdom. Do you know what those are?
No, what are the three treasures of wisdom?
So great. The first one is compassion. And I have to say, people misunderstand compassion. Compassion doesn't mean love. It means that you understand where someone is at and what they've gone through, and that you have compassion that they've gone through it, but you don't feel sorry for them. You don't pity them. It's not that. It's not sentimentality. It is saying, I understand and I have compassion that you've gone through this, but I'm glad you're going through your lessons. That's compassion. And
Yes.
then the next one is moderation. Absolutely everything that you do in moderation, even eating healthy, in moderation. Have a big fat cheeseburger sometimes. Well, if you're vegan, have a really good Boca burger. But um, and then the last one is humility.
Yeah.
And yeah, the humility is the tamer of the ego. I don't have to be right. I don't have to be understood. I don't have to be heard, because you know what? I understand me. I value me. I hear me. And that's the important piece.
What about gratitude?
Yeah, I think gratitude is also, I think we should add that in
I
there, but
think we need to add gratitude.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think gratitude, it's interesting because it brings you into that place, that place inside of you where you radiate this high vibration, kind of like compassion. Even when we look at the levels of emotion, gratitude isn't mentioned. Isn't that
Interesting.
interesting?
Yeah.
Thankfulness, gratitude is not mentioned in the levels of emotion.
Interesting.
But I'm
Hmm.
sure it would be up there with love, peace, and joy.
I'm sure it is right plugged in the middle. Because you really can't have love, peace, and joy without gratitude for all you have. Because in order to manifest, I have found that you have to show gratitude in order to be able to manifest, right? I mean, it's like thank you for bringing all these beautiful things to my life, and I will accept more. Thank you,
Yeah.
and show me more. Show me how good it can get. Show me how. Thank you, and show me how much better it can get.
Yeah.
Show me how much better it can be. And I just keep saying that, and it just keeps showing me how much better it can get.
I almost feel like it comes just naturally to when you get to that place inside of you where you are following your joy and you have done your inner work. You've healed the trauma in your life, and you're just in that good place. All of a sudden, when you manifest, it's just that joy flows out of you, and part of that joy just is gratitude. Like, oh my God, thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. I mean, I wake up every morning and just, oh my God, so grateful for this amazing life that I get to live.
Speaking, and I love that. And speaking of waking up, this is another piece that brings joy. So, one of the things that you can try is when you wake up, before you open your eyes, just when you first become conscious, pay attention to how your body feels. Is there any dread? Is there any heavy feeling? Because we work through in sleep, we work through all the stuff we're supposed to heal in this life. And so sometimes we wake up with a heavy feeling, or if you had a glass of wine, you're going to have a lower vibration, right? So you tap into what it is that's going on in your body, and you attach your feeling to it, and you really feel it. And you consciously say, I surrender this. And you imagine it leaving your body like a big black cloud. And what you're actually doing is you're letting negative charges go from your body. And then you have the power to increase your own vibration, so that when you jump out of that bed, you're like, woo, I feel good. Right? Na, 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 na. Yeah. Yeah, you really do. We have so much power over our emotions and our happiness.
We do.
We just forget.
Absolutely.
Don't you think
We
that
just
people go ahead?
we like to bitch, you know? I mean, there's just so many people that, they like to live in hell. I don't know why,
There's
but
so many more addictions than people realize. I've
mm,
seen people addicted to falling apart. I've seen people addicted to drama. I've seen people addicted to pain. I've seen people addicted to, abuse, addicted to all these different pieces. And if they're addicted to negativity, man, they're going to keep that cycle going because that is the only thing that's normal for them. That and this is the other thing that I tell people is that you have to look at what your definition of love was when you were a kid. And if your definition that you learned when before the age of 13 is neglect or emotional unavailability or abuse or negativity or complaining, if that's what you learned love is because that's what you always got, you're going to try to find that love no matter how you can get it.
right.
No.
So when that is not a positive way that you found love, and that is ingrained in your body,
Mhm.
how can you move past those? Like for me, I, you know, I know that there's several women that they keep attracting the same type of partner or the same type of people in their life because that is what their body is used to. That's what they're going to attract because it's what their body needs to feel loved,
Right.
right? So how can they shift that to call in something different, to call in a different vibration? How do you do that?
So I explain this through the string theory. Okay. And a lot of people don't understand string theory. And this is,
Mhm.
again, quantum physics because it's really cool. So, what they don't realize is that if we look at just a dot, right, a dot on a piece of paper, that's one dimension. And if
Right.
we look at the piece of paper itself, it's flat. So, that's two dimension. This pen is three-dimensional, right? And fourth dimension is time. Okay. And so, time people think is linear. Here's what we think. We think so if this is us, it's a person, right? We're walking on time. Okay. And all of it's in the past. Every time we get to the edge of the piece of paper, we just create more paper. So we've
Mhm.
got this whole paper trail of our history behind us. And we think that this is what time is. Well, there's a reason why scientists are studying time travel in a realistic way because they know that time is not linear, it's multidimensional. It is horizontal, it is vertical, it is perpendicular, it is everywhere. So, what I explain to people is if you're on your timeline, okay, right now, and you've got pain back here, your younger selves or your trauma, or you learned that love is abuse, the
Mhm.
only way to change that, you can't think it away or talk it away because you're trying to use the tools of the ego. You need to get
Mhm.
into the subconscious. This talk therapy is conscious. We need to
Yeah.
get into the subconscious. That brings us to fifth dimension. Fifth dimension is not an experience, or an outside experience, it's an inside experience. Getting into the limbic system or getting into the pineal gland is fifth dimension. You actually open up a space inside where we realize that there is no time, there is no space. And when I get people into that space inside of them, I get them deep inside of them, then I can change what's happening in the past. So I go where they're standing and we fold or bend time. And we
Mhm.
hit a point in the past. So we bend and go into fourth dimension through the fifth, and we work with the younger selves. And when they do that, they're always so shocked by what the younger selves say. They're shocked by the ones who are angry and obstinate, the ones who are like, no, I'm okay, dude, you're good, or the other ones who are like, I hate you. Well, I hate you too. That it's shocking what, the younger selves have to say, but when we can get in there, we can change that. And here's why. Because before the age of 13, we grow neural pathways. We
Mhm.
have over 600 million neurons in our body. We have 100 million in our head, 40,000 in our heart, and about 500 million in our gut. Okay. And we grow there are neurons. Okay. And the neuron grows these little tentacles out of them, like a
Mhm.
bunch of tentacles, and they're called dendrites. And they grow belief to belief to belief to belief to belief to belief to belief. So you grew this belief system, physically grew it. So you created almost like a highway and you put
Mhm.
barricades up to any of the other roads. So when something happens in your life, boom, that's the only road you know.
Right.
So you immediately go down. Love is abuse. Love is abuse. Love is abuse. And you can't think it away. You have to go back into the subconscious and work with the younger yous who created that. And
Mhm.
once you actually work with the younger yous, all of a sudden you break apart neural patterns and you start to grow new ones. And it takes 3 days to grow new neural patterns.
Only 3 days.
Only 3 days.
Only 3 days.
Meditations. I have people who work with me. They're like, I have been in therapy for 20 years. How did you just do it for me in 20 minutes? What nobody could do in 20 years. I'm like, it's all string theory, honey.
That's amazing. This training that I just went through um, dealt with a lot of string theory as well. It did. Yeah.
Do tell, do tell.
Super fascinating stuff. Super fascinating. There were just some really amazing exercises that they did in this training that just blew my mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would love this man. I love how he brings in the science and the spirituality,
Yeah.
and anchors it in your body to embody it so you can feel it from the inside out and experience it. So it really lands.
I have said this for 10 years that until we learn to marry science and spirituality and we stop thinking we're in separate camps, until
Yeah.
we marry this, we're going to look at this complete dichotomy of everything we're trying to heal. We're not going to have a good medical system. We're not going to have good mental health, unless we can actually marry this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's coming. And
Yes, it
and
really.
it is, and more people are waking up every day. The science minds are coming into it and going, okay, there's some science here. Okay, I can wrap my head around this, and the spirituality people are going, wow, there's really science behind this. Wow. Okay. So yes, it is integrating slowly.
Yeah,
Um,
I got to present at two different conferences, one in Italy and one in Germany, one for the IONS conference and one for Dr. Laszlo, who has written like 19 books on, really marrying the two. But there's a lot more going on in this field than I think a lot of people think.
yes, yes. And so exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting. Well, we have a few minutes left, so we do have a couple of listeners in there. I see our friend Nastasia is on Zoom. Nastasia, I'm going to unmute you. Do you have a question that you would like to ask Kelly?
Hi, Kelly. Hi.
Hi. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. I was really getting excited about your talking about manifestation, and I wondered if you could go a little bit deeper into like what can kind of like the things that block us for manifestation. If you could go a little deeper into that, because I'm in like a super manifestation stage right now in my life. So
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing is, and this is what really helped me, is when I really got into understanding that, first of all, the possibilities are all there. And it's any negative thought or any doubt will block it. But then I realized we're powerful. We are not the ego. We are spirit. We are amazing. And we forget how powerful we are. And so when we remind ourselves that we have the power inside of us, when it's just the ego that wants to keep us small. When we realize that we have the power and we don't limit ourselves, and then inside of us, we have to do this. You have to staunchly believe, no doubt. So I remember when I first started taking clients, I was like, well, everybody told me I'd never make it as a healer in Ojai because there's a healer a block. And they said, you'll never make it. And I said, well, I can choose to believe that, or I can choose not to. I choose not to. And I put out there that I will always have clients. And I went, the first week I was there, I went from like 1 client, and then I went to 2, and then I went to 4, and then I went to 8, then I went to 16. And I mean, literally 25 a week,
Yes.
every week, with a waiting list, because I believed it and I knew it, and when you absolutely could feel it in the core of you, I already know this is going to happen.
Mhm.
As long as it's not against a personal contract or a lesson that you are trying to learn, you're going to get it. So if your life lesson says, let's say you're putting out there, I already know I'm going to win the lottery, but that's not what you signed up for, you're not going to get it. Right? but if you put out there, about the things that are not within your contract, you're going to get it. And I've gotten amazing things that have happened. Blows my mind.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
We have to get out of mental chatter, because the chatter is the one that keeps us doubting.
Mhm.
You have to tame that ego. And basically, I don't know why, but I named my ego pants. So I'm like, okay, ego pants, you're not winning today. I am in charge. My higher self is in charge. And you can just know, you go sit down, because we're manifesting over here.
I love that.
I'm very busy. Go sit down.
We got things to do. Do not include you. Nobody invited you to this party.
Oh, there's a Rhonda that is listening. I'm wondering, Rhonda, do you have a question for Kelly?
Hi, Kelly.
Rhonda.
Yes.
Hi.
From Santa Barbara. Yeah.
Oh, I miss you.
Yeah. Where are you now?
I'm in Wisconsin right now. And last week we were 50 degrees. No, 2 days ago we were 50 degrees, and today we're 90. Welcome to
Oh my
Wisconsin.
gosh. Well, I happened to see your Facebook, and I just clicked in, and I don't know. Do you have any message for me? Is my guides telling you anything?
Give me just a second. Yeah, they're actually talking something about your diet, and they want you to take some vitamin E oil.
Okay.
What a random funny thing to say, but I suppose that makes sense, because you and I've talked about this before. It comes up a lot in your body. You use up your lubrication in your body very, very quickly, and right away they were like, get her some vitamin E to keep that lubrication going in your joints and in your organs.
Well, that sounds good. I've had a hip replacement.
That could also be why. It's going to help lubricate that whole thing. It's like, putting oil in the joint.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that lubrication is so different than hydration. We need water, but that's not going to give you lubrication, and so we need that. So, good 369 omegas and good flax, or good healthy fats, and vitamin E. They're wonderful. Primrose, great for your body.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm. And Nastasia, did you want to check in with your guides really quick with Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Option. So that's great. Yeah, that would be sweet if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay, how personal can I get?
We
Sure,
are on Facebook Live.
Oh, we are? It's okay. Go ahead. Get personal. It's fine.
Okay. I am detecting some sadness that's trapped into your gut.
Okay.
Okay. So you probably know the source of that. It's pretty heavy. And actually, when I feel it like this, it means there's something ready to release from you. And I'm going to tell you, it's almost like I would say it's an old sadness. Okay? But I feel like it's surfacing for some reason. I don't know if you had somebody come back into your life, or some experience where you're going through some kind of memory lane, but there's something that has surfaced this, or maybe you're just ready to get done with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The sadness has a lot to do with limitation. It has to do with lack.
I'm going through that so much right now.
Huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
much.
And normally I feel this in the heart, but with you, I feel it in the gut. And usually if it's in the gut, it's saying that you're feeling very disempowered by it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nailed it. I'm like,
Well, you know how to manifest. So put on your manifesting pants.
okay.
Kick ego pants out of there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got this. And the guides are saying that this is actually you learning to manifest is one of the big accomplishments you're going to make. And you've got the capability, you've got the power. Yeah. Yeah. You might also, on my YouTube channel, there's a meditation, which is healing your relationship with money. There's something in there that if you did that meditation, I think it'll come out.
Ah, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
So Kelly has dozens and dozens of incredible videos on her YouTube channel, which I will put a link to at the bottom of this recording when I post it, as well as her website, kellyschwegel.com, where you can book an appointment with Kelly right on her website. She's got her calendar up there. And Kelly, are you doing anything special? Do you have anything coming up that you'd like to tell us about?
Yes. So anyway, it also, if you're on TikTok, I have about 70,000 followers on TikTok, and I've got a ton of really fun videos and a lot are based in the blend of science and spirituality. So they're kind of fun. So I am going to be putting out a mentorship for people who want to really develop their spiritual path and their clairvoyance, and really opening things up in a very intense way. So I've offered that before, and so I'm going to be doing that. I have a webinar that's going to be coming up that talks about the 6 steps in healing. And then I'm also going to be offering it's an intensive healing. It's a month of intensive healing. And this is by application only. I will take no more than 6 clients in this because it's intense. And then I've got a team that's also going to work with me to make sure that everybody gets what they need in this intensive healing month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And we're also planning some physical some physical retreats, but we're also starting a publishing company. And so once this is launched, we're going to start the physical retreats.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. So are you planning to stay in Wisconsin? Are you going to bop around the world? Where are you going?
Can't ever do another winter ever again in my entire life, ever. So I'm looking around, but right now it's just so important that I'm here for my family. And if it weren't for them, I wouldn't. And I love my friends too, but to me, it's worth it to go through all of the ridiculous cold to be with them and help them. But I know that if I end up here longer, then I've got to be able to get away during the winter. I can't do it.
Right. Yes. No cold.
Nope. No cold.
Well, at least the snow is over.
Yes.
Mother's Day has passed, so the chance of snow is diminished now.
No, but today we have tornado warnings or our watch. We're under a tornado watch. All right.
That's why I live in California.
Yep.
So blessed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am going to wrap things up here. Thank you all so much for coming on our show and talking with Kelly today. We will have recordings available on the Evolved Connections website, as well as our Facebook page, and Kelly will have access to post those as well. And please reach out to her if she can be of any help to you whatsoever. A session will blow your mind. She's just amazing, and I need to do a session with her too. It's been a while. So Thank you, thank you, thank you, Kelly, so much for jumping in here today. We are super grateful.
My
Yeah.
pleasure. I love it. Love what you're doing. So grateful for you being on this earth.
Thank you so much. And we're going to stop the recording, stopping our live stream, and stopping our recording.